So I'm very, first of all, I would like to thank President of Ecla, Philippe Cohen, and the Ecla board and all the Ecla for inviting me here. When I began my legal studies a few years ago, it was something like 1981. I wouldn't have imagined being in such a place one day discussing with top guns lawyers about some issues which are maybe not so easy. And Mr. Marchandise, I'm sorry, but I have two bad news for you. Two bad news. The first one is that as an academic, I came here with a bag and a pocket full of blah blah. So this is the first bad news. And the second one is that, well, to some extent, it seems that we have a kind of vicious circle regarding the legal privilege issue. Because it seems that in some countries, regulatory authorities and judiciary authorities say, well, legal privilege for you, no, because you are working in a company, so you are not independent. End of the story. And I do agree with you, it's to some extent a nonsense. But on the other hand, we have lawyers saying, and in-house lawyers saying, I am a lawyer, so I am independent, so I should have a legal privilege. Could you explain, please, why are you independent? Is it by nature, by definition, by design? Is it only a question of statute? Is it a state of mind, a state of action, an individual culture? Or moreover, and I would like to, in few minutes, switch to this point, is it a collective culture? Do we have in the company a culture which does integrate legal issues, which give lawyers the role and the missions they should have in the company? Sometimes probably they have to say no, sometimes probably they have to say yes, and every time they have to explain and to convince. I understood that this question of legal privilege and its key, to some extent, its key pillar, I mean the definition of independence for lawyers, is a major concern for your community, for the lawyers community. And when I listened to Philippe Cohen, I understood also that this community is full of joy, paranoia, and dreams, if I'm right. So I feel absolutely comfortable with it. I think that, well, in my opinion, we should view this notion of legal privilege and the definition of independence in a context regarding the role and the missions and the functions of lawyers and the growing complexity of law. Indeed, if we had no difficulties to explain, to understand and to explain to business people, to executives, to managers, what are the consequences of the relationships between law, between the legal environment and businesses, we wouldn't have any problem, any issue, any concern. We would be in a kind of black or white world. It's forbidden or it's allowed. So no needs for debates and exchanges and explanations between lawyers and again, executives, managers, and business people. No need to analyze what could be the legal risk of such or such situation. No need to talk about compliance or non-compliance. No need to analyze a new regulation to understand if it does apply to our business or a specific kind of situation. But we all know here that it's not the reality. We all know here that we need all these exchanges between lawyers and the other functions in companies, CFO, CEO, Chief Operation Officer, or whatever. And we need all this exchange in a, let's say, good atmosphere with specific conditions which do allow all these people to exchange ideas, to share their views, to talk about risks, and so on and so on. Okay? And that is why I said a few minutes ago, this context, in my opinion, obviously the statute is important because then you have the possibility to oppose it to prosecutors or whatever. But it is first a question of culture in the company. In other words, are lawyers embedded in the company's culture? Is the law embedded in the company's culture? And to what extent lawyers have the opportunity to influence or maybe sometimes to change this culture? So, to resume this, introduction, but I'm not going to talk during 1 hour, I do promise. To resume this introduction, the question of the companies or the corporate culture and what could be called the corporate legal culture is a key issue. I'm still waiting for the slideshow. But anyway, I'm going to... Thanks to the techies and maybe to the president. So there are many research works in the field of strategy and management showing that and demonstrating that the corporate culture can be a source of sustainable competitive advantage, and the sustainable is important, and therefore of performance. Now, when you look at this, all these research works and publications, you try to find any signal or any presence of the legal dimension, and the lawyers, there is none. So the legal dimensions has always been outside all these research works, and a few years ago we said, well, maybe we should try to find what could mean corporate legal culture and not legal corporate culture. It's my fault, not the techie's fault on the slide. And we said, well, to some extent it could be defined as the way the legal dimension is integrated into the company's culture. Then, what are or what could be the key factors of corporate legal culture? First question. And then if we are successful in this quest, maybe later we could try to identify if there is any link between the type of corporate legal culture. Is it a risk-averse culture or not? Is it a very entrepreneurial culture? It does depend on some factors. And then, is there any link between this corporate legal culture and the performance? To find the answers, it was 3 years ago, we launched a survey with the AFGO. It does show that French people, they are not always sleeping. They can be innovative as Belgian people. And as Philippe said, it's a very friendly comment because I was born in Ardennes. So. Yes, thank you. And then we tried to complete with more qualitative information through testimonials given by legal directors and GC. And these testimonials were published and are still published in the Juriste d'entreprise magazine. We identified 3 big categories of key factors which do have an impact of the corporate legal culture. First, obviously, the key characteristics of the company. Okay, size, businesses, international scope, listed or non-listed company, shareholding profile, executives profile, and, of course, the past experiences of the company. Second big category, the key characteristics of the legal department, obviously, when there is a legal department in the company. Role, missions, international profile, position of the GC in the company, and the organization of the legal function. And last but not least, and it is probably the category, the key factor, which does have a big impact on the corporate legal culture, which is the management of the legal competency. Knowledge sharing between lawyers, knowledge sharing between lawyers and the other functions in the company, teamwork and project mode, process and technologies. And we found that these companies' key characteristics first influence the corporate legal culture, and we have evidence, especially when we look at listed companies, that lawyers' missions and actions are also influenced by these characteristics. And it is very clear in the different general counsel testimonials. And this is, let's say, our responsibility. Lawyers have a crucial role in the development and quality of the legal competency within the firm. So the way lawyers, well, in some companies, fight to develop the marketing of the legal function, to explain that the legal issues should be every time and everywhere embedded in the decisions, in the business decisions, in the strategic decisions. It's a question of lawyers' leadership. So maybe it's a little bit provocative, I don't know. But what do lawyers need? I'm not saying they don't have it at all. I'm not saying that at all. Knowing that there is different definitions of leadership. You can be a leader through different qualities, different capacities, and so on. But what lawyers need? Leadership. And this figure came from the works of Rode, published in 2010. As you can see, there are 4 big segments. They need strong values and vision, integrity, trust, ethics, forward-looking. They need technical competencies, knowledge, and capacity of judgment. They need interpersonal skills, social awareness, conflict management, persuasion. And they need, finally, personal skills, self-control, self-awareness, and self-direction. Now, what is the link? If it's not only, I don't know, just a discourse about leadership and lawyers and no link with the legal privilege or the independence issue. What is the link between leadership and independence? Well, my conviction is that leadership key characteristics, and especially integrity, judgment, ethics, persuasion, integrity, they are strong guarantees for lawyers' independence. And it could be demonstrated in many companies. Why are these people, this category of employees for in-house counsels, for in-house lawyers, why do they have this ethics, this integrity, this sense of judgment, and these specific competencies? And it's not a question, again, of statute. It's just the real life and the pure demonstration based on facts and evidence. First, but I already said that, independence is a state of mind and of action and not the simple result of a statute. And I think it's also the occasion for many lawyers, not only in company but also in law firms, to ask to themselves, am I really independent as a state of mind and a state of action? And will I be able to explain it and to convince public authorities and courts? And why is it important for my bosses, for the executives, to understand that this lawyer's independence is not the enemy of the company's collective vision and interest and research of profit? Because it's probably the best way to ensure the sustainability of the company. And it's probably not only in the interest of the company, but also for the whole market, for the whole economy, and for the different stakeholders. So, my conclusion, yes, is to say, well, it's not the only point, obviously, but to work on this leadership issue for lawyers, and not only in-house lawyers, but maybe also attorneys and lawyers working in law firms, big or not, it does not matter. This issue is a key issue because it's the best argument to demonstrate that lawyers are independent people. Okay? It does not mean that they are working against their employers and against the company. Thank you for your patience. I wish you a long professional lawyer's life full of, again, joy, paranoia, and dreams. Thank you.